Good evening, everyone. We are here tonight because we all share the common goal of ensuring that every child in our community, from birth through age 5, has the best first steps in education. Early childhood programs in Kentucky sit at the vital intersection of families, our local community, and the P-12 school system. To truly serve our children, we must examine the practices at play in the programs that educate and support them. Tonight, I am proposing a strategic shift, moving away from business as usual toward a boundaryless, servant-led model. This isn't just another new initiative. It's a commitment to making all early childhood education programs models of equity, belonging, and shared leadership. The current reality is that in many early childhood education programs, decision making is a top down traditional model. Owners or boards make the financial decisions, program administrators handle the day-to-day operations, and instructional and support staff are often left just carrying out policies they did not help create. Families are consulted, but they don't always have a seat at the table where the real influence happens. This setup might create accountability, but it also creates silos. It makes state requirements like licensing and Kentucky All-Stars feel like a burden passed down from the office rather than a shared mission we all believe in.
Distribution of leadership is also going to be something completely integral to making sure.
Our goal is to transform the traditional model of authority into a shared circle of leadership. In a boundaryless organization, we intentionally tear down the silos that block communication and stifle problem solving. This doesn't mean we lose our structure, it means our roles become permeable, allowing ideas and expertise to flow freely between classrooms, the office, and your homes. We anchor this in servant leadership, a mindset where our primary job isn't to give orders, but to serve the growth and well-being of staff, children, and families. In this model, you don't just check boxes for state regulations. You co-construct your daily operations together. You can move from merely complying with standards to exceeding them through collective ownership and a shared heartbeat for quality. To build a truly boundaryless program, you must rely on 3 core partnerships. First, you have to empower your instructional staff. You don't just ask them to follow a curriculum, you can treat them as co-leaders who have the expertise to shape it. When teachers lead, programs become more responsive and innovative. Second, it's important to partner with families. Families are the first teachers of children and should be at all decision-making tables. You could establish a family advisory council that could have a real influence over program priorities, always ensuring that families from every background, including those using CCAP, see their values reflected in the program's work. Finally, you honor your support staff. For example, your nutrition and facility teams are the backbone of your center's health and safety. By bringing them into the conversation, you value their expertise and ensure no detail of the children's well-being is ever overlooked.
Building on the 3 core partnerships, we want to go deeper into the role of instructional staff, particularly early childhood educators, and keeping in mind special consideration for multilingual learner specialists when applicable. If collaboration is to move beyond compliance, teachers must function not just as implementers of someone else's vision, but as co-architects of the desired program design. This will mean shared decision-making authority within the collaborative council, designated time for structured planning and reflection, intentional vertical alignment conversations between early childhood and P through 12 educators in the community and schooling system, and embedding multilingual learner advocacy into program development from the beginning. When early childhood teachers understand the academic and linguistic expectations of later grades, and when P through 12 educators understand developmental foundations, we can create continuity rather than fragmentation. Trust is built when teachers see that their expertise shapes decisions, not just carries them out. Similarly, family partnership must extend beyond invitation into true influence. If our goal is long-term P through 12 success, families must understand not only program priorities, but instructional expectation. This includes clear communication of what children are learning and why it matters, multilingual and culturally responsive communication systems, family workshops connected directly to classroom learning, and practical tools families can use at home to reinforce early literacy, numeracy, and language development. When families are equipped to support classwork in the home and community, alignment strengthens. Particularly for multilingual learners, honoring and leveraging home language becomes a bridge, not a barrier, to academic growth. Most importantly, collaboration cannot rely solely on.
The reality of an educational change of this nature is that if there is, keeping with some of the themes that we spoke about in the last slide, the number one.
You might ask, how does this shift affect our state ratings? In a traditional model, Kentucky All-Stars and licensing inspections can feel like a test that you're trying not to fail. In a boundaryless program, you can change that narrative. View these standards as shared tools for growth, not just hurdles to clear. You're not just collecting data like your developmental screeners to just check a box on a form. You can use that data to spark honest, courageous conversations. By disaggregating this information by different demographics, you can see how you are serving every child. If you find a gap, you don't hide it in a file. You can bring it directly to the shared council. Look at it together, administrators, teachers, support staff, and families, and ask the questions that matter. What barriers are standing in the way of our children, and how do we remove them together? This is how we move from mere compliance to a culture of true excellence. Let's talk about the how of this strategic plan. This is a roadmap that just isn't a temporary trend. It's a permanent structural change. In phase 1, you stop and listen. You're doing an equity audit to see who has a voice and who doesn't. In phase 2, it's time to build skills. You're training every member of your team to think like a servant leader. This is where the mystery is removed from Kentucky All-Stars, so every teacher feels like an expert. In phase 3, you build the engine. You can launch the Shared Decision-Making Council. This is where families and staff finally get a seat at the table to make real decisions about budgets and policies. Finally, in phase 4, you scale. You take your wins, review your developmental assessment data, and ensure that high-quality education that you have promised is reaching every child. You're not just building a plan, you're building a lasting system of excellence.
When implementing a program of this nature, careful consideration needs to be made.
The ultimate goal of the boundaryless, servant-led model is simple yet profound. You are building high-quality educational programs for all young children. Remember, quality isn't just a rating on a piece of paper. It is a promise that you make to every family in your community and in your program. When you can remove boundaries between families and staff and administrators, you're ensuring that high quality isn't reserved for just a few. When teachers feel heard and empowered, they can provide the responsive, high-quality instruction that children need. When families are true partners in our education system, our curriculum reflects the real lives of our students. And when we lead as servants, we create a sanctuary where every child feels they truly belong. By working as a team, we move beyond just meeting state standards. We can define what excellence in early childhood education looks like for all of Kentucky's children.
Though we have already spoken about some challenges anticipated stemming from some of the challenges we just spoke about, there are some easy. One of the biggest questions of a program of this nature has to do with the sustainability. A commitment to a program of this nature relies on a few core principles.